All right, welcome back to episode 3 of JV Speaks, where we're going to talk about strategic partnerships and mentorships. So,
that's
really excited to get into this one. Let's just kind of get into it. So, Vince, this question, I'll start out with you here. Can you just tell us a little bit about the mentors you've had and how that's helped you be so successful here with JV Studios?
Definitely. Yeah, I think when I was just getting started in early days of video, a lot of what I've learned was self-taught. I didn't go to a college that was an arts college. It was more of a public, college with a communication degree. So a lot of the things I learned was trial and error, but there hits a moment in where I felt like I was like, how do I get to the next level? How do I push myself to keep learning? And obviously there's a lot of self-teaching you have to do in this industry. But it was leaning into mentors. And so I did establish, once I met specific people, that you just feel a connection. You feel like there's a sense of authenticity with the person, that they want to help you. And there's that fine line of, I definitely have asked too many questions, and mentors have said, hey, you asked a lot of questions, but like now that I've become mentors for people, I love it. And so I've always tried to connect myself with people that maybe are willing to share and kind of threading the needle of like, you have to have some self-discovery in the industry. And like Johnny says, you could lead a horse to a lake, but you can't make it drink. So like, as much as I want to pick and pluck from people, it's
I like that, pick and pluck.
pick and pluck. That's the new one.
Good.
As much as I want to do that, I also like figuring it out on my own. So I think leveraging mentors I have, and to this day I have, a handful that I lean on when there's times where I'm like, I'm hitting a creative block. I'm hitting, maybe an opportunity I haven't done yet, and I'm going to reach out to someone who has. And 9 times out of 10, they're open and ready to share, because I think that's the beauty of it. I think a lot of people in the creative industry, definitely there's egos that can get developed, and people kind of gatekeep secrets, and they don't want to see others, even if they're younger than them, get to a level maybe they're at. Where I look at it now that I've had people help me and just like openly share. And like I said, asking the right questions and being respectful and having boundaries, it's allowed me to maybe jump a little ahead than I would have maybe doing it on my own. So I think having mentors for me has been a huge success to kind of get to the role I'm at. And I still am learning. Like, I don't know everything, and I will admit that. And I think there's a beauty in kind of reaching out to those people when you do need help.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about you, John? What's been your experience with mentors and in using other people that maybe are a little older, wiser, been in the industry for a little bit longer,
Right.
To help grow our business?
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off Vince, there's moments where, something may be new, for us or for any creatives, right? But when you can lean on someone who's been through it and they have that experience, you're going to get there 2 times, 3 times, 4 times faster. So, it's kind of putting down a little bit of pride, taking away the ego a little bit, and just asking, and being humble and saying, like, I know that you've done this. I'm trying to do this. Is there any tips or a piece of advice? Doesn't mean I want you to do it for you. Don't do it for me. But if you can give me something to just help me get there a little quicker, that's kind of my perspective on that end. And I think there's a gift in looking for mentors, and then also vice versa, being the mentor. There's a beauty in sharing. There's a beauty in it. And so, yeah, I mean, you could hold on to it, and under this knowledge and power, or, knowledge and mindset that you have, and think that it's like this, I'm doing this so it's mine and it's this power. But when you just allow it, for yourself to share it, and then on the other end, you'll get it back tenfold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a great point, John, and I want you to expand a little bit more on this. But talking about, when you're asking for a mentor for some guidance,
right,
being very clear that you're not asking them to do anything.
Yeah,
you're saying, hey, give me a tip or some advice so I can go figure this out and do it on myself.
Right.
So I know that's something that you guys probably look for in mentees, right? When people come talk to you, I think it's critical, right, that they are being open to doing the work and putting that work in. So, I mean, if you could talk a little bit more about that, I think that's really helpful for everyone else out there.
Right. I mean, I think it's the best way to learn, right? Is, I mean, something that I always keep in my head is I can sit and tell you that kettle's hot because it's boiling and it's steaming. But until you touch it and burn your hand, You're never going to know. So touch it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you got to go through it. Just because I've done something, as speaking as a mentor, right? I've done something in the past and I've been there and I've been trying to figure out and run this and do that and it's worked and it's successful. You know, it doesn't mean that I can tell you this knowledge and right away you get this knowledge and it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go through it. Got to go through it.
Yeah. And I think for me, I'll speak on reaching out to mentors. It's almost when I reach out to these mentors, they're obviously friends, but there's obviously an established boundary. I admit you're my mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have no,
that's the ego going away.
yeah, I have no humility and shame. I'm like, I look up to you. I openly say that because it's true. And so a lot of the times I reach out to the mentors are like moments of growing pains, or as Johnny would say, growing gains.
Ooh,
When I feel like I'm like, okay, I've hit a new obstacle in my career I've never encountered.
yeah.
It's maybe time to call that genie in the bottle that helps you kind of see it. Maybe you're overthinking it. And a lot of times it is for me. I'm in my head. I'm overthinking this situation, or maybe I truly lack the confidence and I just need a push from someone who, like Johnny said, who's done it. On the other side of being the mentor to someone, my biggest thing is like, I want to be an advocate. I want to help in any way. And there are some people I feel like you can see who take it and run with it. And then like, you know, you don't hear from them ever. And you're just kind of like, okay, well, did they gain anything? And then there's those people you mentor that the next time you see them, you've seen they've implemented what you said. And so now I'm going to put more energy and time to that person because they're just not here to kind of sponge and then run away and, you know, call me when you need me. I think having an open discussion of like, hey, I'm having this, and I had a conversation recently with someone of, hey, I told you about this and I'm always here for you. But until you reach back out, I'm not going to go out of my way to constantly be like checking in. So, hey, did you end up? It's just, that's kind of like that establishing the mentor-mentee boundaries, right?
Right.
And just being transparent, you know?
Right.
And I think a big thing too about that relationship on either end of it is that yes, the mentee goes to the mentor to look for some wisdom about a particular thing, but lo and behold, the mentor is also gaining insights because in order to teach and spread this, you're put in the seat of having to become the expert and the knowledge, and it inspires you to learn again, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or even refreshes. Or, I mean, by you maybe admitting this is, or I tried this is that, you never know. Someone's like, oh, I didn't think about that. So whether it's spoken or not, you may be helping your mentor out
100%.
by just being yourself and being authentic with it. So yeah, no, it's been fun to kind of see that throughout the years.
Yeah, Vince, you had a story I know you were telling Johnny and I about a recent kind of creative block you were having, and you reached out to a mentor to kind of help you get through that. Can you tell us a little bit about how that all worked and what the result was?
Yeah, so it's obviously it's an ongoing project right now, but pretty much we had a client that is really trying to think outside the box with a cool commercial project, and just at the level that they're trying to go to, personally, it felt like a little maybe something we haven't been out of our league to start, you know, maybe something we haven't done yet, right? It's like what we've been talking about. And so going back and forth with trying to generate ideas and reaching out to people, I had actually my wife, she was a big advocate and like, why don't you just like reach out to your mentor? You're always like, it's a no brainer to her. And I was like, like I had pride in that moment. I was like, no, I need to figure out on my own, like to prove myself. And then I hit a moment, it was like a Saturday night and you know, you think the weekends you're just hanging out. I'm like in my head stressing out. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just send an email. And so I sent an email, I drafted and hey, you know, do you have any time? I have something I want to run past you. I'd love to pick your brain and make it more collaborative versus like, hey, I need to know the answer. And so within 30 minutes, I got a hit back on a Saturday night to be like, yeah, Vince, let's meet. Like excited, right?
Awesome,
and so then from there, it was just a Google call. Just, you know, we don't live in the same spot. So explaining the situation, explaining my hurdles, my blocks, and the amount of laughing we did of just like, dude, you're overthinking all this. That's all I need to hear. Obviously, there was moments of like, here are some things I do specifically for a client to kind of like, paint a different picture instead of like, you know, you're pitching a concept to a client. You don't need to do all this work if they haven't booked you yet. So quit wasting all your energy trying to build this huge project. They don't even know if they're even gonna like the idea. Focus on this idea, work backwards. And so the summary of that call to me was like, get out of your head, go, generate ideas from the heart, be yourself. And like, it's all good. If they like your ideas, they'll take them. And if not, maybe is that the right client you want to work with? Do they, and so that within a week after that call, just moving freely in my mind and allowing you guys giving me time in the office to truly be in the creative flow, 3 ideas came like that. Exactly like he said. And I'll never forget, I emailed him back right away and I was like, dude, these ideas are here.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like light bulb, like aha moment of like, there you go. That's how it's done. Quit overthinking it. And that was like the advice I needed to hear.
Yeah. And on his end, he's probably, think about the feeling he has looking at that email from his mentee saying, wow, I was able to help.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And
it's cool.
And continues to help. So yeah, with that, we'll see what happens with that. We'll have our concepts coming up soon. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
Seeing that going out.
No, I think that's awesome. And, kind of to piggyback off to our first episode of this season where we talk about growing the team,
Right.
I think a key members of our team are mentors, right? Maybe they're not officially part of our team, but in kind of this unofficial capacity,
Right.
you're able to capture the brain power of so many more people when, like Vince says, you don't have that pride. You're able to kind of swallow it and be like, hey, someone out there knows more than I do. How do I kind of gather that information from them? So I know it's been helpful for John and I as well when Vince has these mentors, right, that can help him take ideas to the next level. So.
Right.
Well, and to piggyback, there's one thing too. I think in a creative industry, there's times I need to bounce off people that think like me. And sometimes you two are in a different headspace because you're doing business stuff, which is totally fine. That's your role. But I think with the industry we're in, we don't have a team of 10 writers that we could sit in a conference room and just spend a week to develop a concept. So it's like, if you're not reaching out to those people that you could bounce off of so easily, you're on your own little island. And we always talk about that kind of like, getting to a point where you have those people and those peers and mentors to be like, hey, I need to bounce some ideas. And that's helped me.
I love it. Well, I love our mentors and we really appreciate all of them. I'm kind of talking about, partnerships. I think that's another good kind of topic to touch on here in this episode. I think our first partners that we really like to work with are our crew and our contractors that work with us. Johnny, can you talk a little bit about, how we've developed these partnerships with our contractors and why it's important to be partners with them rather than just, hey, we're hiring you for this job?
100%. I think it breaks down to 3 words: collaboration over competition. A lot of our partners and, people that we work with, they also have their own, dreams. It's their dreams that they're running, And so for us working with them and having this understanding of like, we're not here to compete, let's collaborate. Let's all get better. Let's all work together. And because, there are a lot of people that wear these hats, and even in our business, we all wear several hats. In their business, they're wearing several hats. But when we all collaborate, we wear one hat. I think that's huge. So, for me, I love finding the right people and empowering them to do what they do. Like when we're looking for crews, for example, we're not going to bring in someone that, all they do is run audio, and we're like, oh, we're going to make you a DP. Like if you run audio, you're running audio, and you're for this, you're that. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but
no, it does. No, I think it's important. But I know on set, I've not obviously been on set as much as you guys have, but our crews, I feel like it's just different. It's not stiff, right? I think there's kind of that family aspect to it.
Right.
You can talk a little bit about, how, looking at someone as a partner rather than just as a gun for hire or whatever has helped us and helped our clients.
Right. Well, I'll start off because I know you probably have some things to say about it too. Our business is ran as a family business. We're brothers from the heart. So I think when we get on site and on set, that gets reciprocated to the crew. It's not just like this gung ho. And I know you're leading a lot of the directing. I'm leading a lot of the producing, and it's not like this structure. Like you cannot talk to the director. You need to fall in line. Like for us, it's very collaborative, and again, seeing people for who they are not really what they do. It's who they are and what they can bring to the table, which I think is huge. And it's family, it's making them, it's inspiring them. It's so when you come onto a JV set, it's fun. Let's have some fun. Let's be family. Be yourself. Most importantly, everyone else is taken.
I think also we've never, I can speak for myself. Like after college, I didn't go off and work for 2 agencies or another production company. I truly only know JV Studios as my job. So I think working from that, it's been like the culture we've kind of created on sets. A lot of us, we are friends outside work. And I think it allows us to, there's moments where we do need to lock it down and dial in for shots. And then when we're not recording and we're setting up, like, it's all right to crack a joke. It's all right to laugh. I mean, looking at our website, even we have a lot of behind the scenes videos. I mean, you can tell that there's just a fun uniqueness, energy on our set. And the final products are always polished and dialed, and clients knock on desk have never said, hey, this video is great, but you guys were a little too fun on set.
Yeah. Too much good positive energy.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10 or 10 out of 10, it's been, oh my God, it didn't feel like work.
Yeah.
It was such a good time. And I know we'll touch into kind of that whole avenue of our culture. Yeah. But I think fostering an environment where it's work hard, play hard, and we are kind of the leaders of that ship. We don't really come from a very strict, do as you're told.
Yeah.
PA, don't talk to a DP director. Again, it goes back to the ego, and everyone's seen on the same level. And I think that alone makes people that are on maybe just getting started, that are jumping on the team with us, feel like, oh, wow, I'm not just a number. I feel heard. And I'll even remember there was a time on set where we were doing a commercial shoot, and it was like the actor gave an idea for a shot, and then a PA was like, hey, like, do you ever think of doing this, like this angle?
Right.
And I said, let's try it. Like, why not? We have time. We're ahead of schedule. I think those little nuances go a long way for people that maybe just jump on our team, and it's like, it feels different. And I think a lot of people like if Johnny's calling you, the phone gets picked up.
Yeah.
Well, they know he's either calling to check in on you as a person, or he's got work for you.
Yeah. And I think it's something cool that happened yesterday, and you were a part of it. And I didn't even expect this. For me, I forgot about it. We were talking about a client because we're going to be going in to have a large meeting. And I said, what are some things that we should focus on? And she looked at me, and she was just saying, my favorite thing out of everything, I had no vendor do this. I didn't tell you this yet. No vendor has ever done this. And this is a large, agency partner of ours. She said, when you guys all came together and we did that huddle, and I got introduced to, and my team got introduced, we talked about your favorite ice cream. Everyone got to tell their name. And she's like, that is what you need to tell our team. And for me, I'm like, that comes easy to me.
Said it made her day.
It made her day. And for me to hear that, I wasn't even expecting that. So I think that like sums up of like that experience. It's like, yes, we may all come from all these different places, but when we're on set, we're family.
Right.
Kind of breaking the norm. What was their favorite ice cream?
I think pistachio.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was pistachio.
Nice. Well, kind of going a long way with that, talking about, how we partner with different clients, right? So obviously we have our customers that are kind of their own business, their own entity. But then we have a lot of agencies that we support in various different ways, from, full run and gun production to, much smaller projects. Can you guys talk about how you've kind of developed those relationships over the years, and just being kind of chameleon enough to fit the needs of whatever they need?
Yeah, I'll jump in on this one. I think a lot of it comes from referrals, people that you know. And when you think of an agency or a group, there's always that one person that may be a producer or a creative director that is like, I know, like, I've been tasked for support. I need to look out for support. So back in the day, we were really looking, client to client. And then things started shifting, and we had a group from out west reach out to us and say, hey, I'm looking for, we're an agency, and I'm looking for someone in Chicago. And we were able to partner up that way. And all we did was provide production support. Then we have some agencies and some groups that we work with where they say, hey, we need your help. Like, we're here with the client, but we need your help developing the creative. And so I think that it's a wide range of asks when you're talking partnership from agency to agency. Sometimes they want us to be full service and part of their team. Sometimes there's like, all we need for you is to shoot and give us footage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we work with small agencies to really big agencies, and I think, again, being an extension of their team and creating that collaborative space versus like, oh wait, no, we do the same thing, we can't work with you because now we're representing you. It's not even like a white label thing either. I mean, it's nice to be able to get hired by another agency whose client hired them, and they know it's JV Studios that they hired, and so it's like leaning into the strengths. So yeah, you get a lot of clients that maybe get an account and they need all, A to Z, from branding to websites to photography to video, right? And they may have other partners for websites and branding stuff, but to be, the video partner, we're happy to do that because we're going to make them look good. And to us, it may just be this video project, and to them, it's this bigger entity. And it's like, great, when we need X, this is who we're calling. But then we've also had some big wins with some bigger companies this past year where we started in that video realm.
Right.
And then as maybe they had other agencies turn over, like, hey, we lost them or we don't work with them anymore, we've kind of been like, okay, this is our time to kind of pitch and get in deeper. So here's a capabilities deck, or hey, can we schedule a meeting to discuss more than, like, here are some new offerings. And though they may be set, it's more planting the seed. And I feel like we've done that a lot where, we started off with a video and then we say, hey, by the way, we also started doing X, Y, Z. And now they're like, oh, great. You guys do Amazon stuff. You guys do, branding. You guys do this. And so it's fun to kind of see, and you just never know where it's going to lead.
Yeah. And I think a big thing to note too is obviously keeping that, for us, we're big on integrity and keeping that respect. So, there's been some agencies that reach out to us and say, hey, can you guys work directly with our client?
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider them our client. I consider whoever hired us our client. So even though we're working direct with your client, we're still going to be representative of who hired us. And I think that's really important because, it's that trust, it's huge until there's a moment where, there may be a pivot or something. But for us, it's kind of like stay in the lane, be grateful for it. And then I think on the other end too, we've been in the agency route where a client will come to us and then we're like, hey, we need to lean on some partners because we may not be the expert in this.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And I think that kind of sums up to, at the end of the goal, our goal, or at the end of the day, our goal is to be a partner for our clients and our
100%.
customers or whoever is receiving that end product. And, their success is our success, as Vince has said before. And watching them be successful is the most enjoyable part about the job, right? And seeing how a video performs, or how a vision comes to life, is super rewarding. And I know you guys talk about that all the time. So Vince, can you tell me about, when you're thinking about client successes, what's one that sticks out to you and one that just kind of is a memorable one to see?
Yeah, I mean, I think last year we had some cool opportunities. We had, a few commercials like go actually on broadcast TV. And I remember when we were talking with our partner about it all, they had full trust in us to generate commercials that represented their agency. So it was a big deal. It wasn't one of their clients. It was like, hey, we want a commercial for us. And so we went to the drawing board, connected with our team, presented some concepts. And then I remember, to them, it was kind of new to them, that experience of like really getting like deep into a video concept and having them on a call. And I remember we did a read through, and just to have like the CEO jump in and the CMO and all of them like take a character role.
Yeah.
And like,
that's the best.
And just like break the norm of their normal day, like, hey, you're Elizabeth in this script. You're Robert. And they're like, all right, I'll be Robert. And then like seeing them act, right?
Yeah.
Just to get through like the concept, right? And then from there, going into production, and then to see like, hey, wow, you guys aided in this production. And then like, I'll never forget, one of our contractors was at House of Blues and just sends us a video, and our commercial is just on a TV at the bar.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then later that day, that turned into like, hey, this is, the agency ended up airing it all across, like before the Olympics, ESPN, like a lot of big news stations in Chicago. And it was cool to see them excited about it and be like, hey, from an agency side, we invested in our own commercials, and that in turn helps with their clients and being like, this is why you need video. And then eventually it was that ripple effect of like video started for them, and then it's like now billboards. And so like that was a huge win for us, and to see our partner win on that end too. I mean, it was just like the excitement, you know, and the company, we were like, you know, we're in Slack with them, so we get access to some of their people they work with, and they'd send us screenshots of everyone in the company. These commercials are amazing. We never had that. It was a cool feeling.
Yeah, and to bring it back, it's family. Like they were there, they were part of it. We made them feel part of that experience because they were part. And then in thus they made their team feel a part of it. Our team sending us videos, they felt part of it, and it's like,
well, even at the end of the day, at that day of that shoot,
oh yeah, that was
it
awesome.
was the CEO's birthday, and so he couldn't fly in, and we wanted him to be on set, and so then Johnny, being himself, did a huge like we usually do a behind the scenes videographer out there filming. At the very end, we did a big happy birthday, got it on camera, sent it to him. We had about between cast and crew, probably around 30 people, all just happy birthday too, and then sent that to him. And he's like, and it's just, so that was like one of those partners where you're like, everything just feels aligned and right.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I think it's very clear to anyone listening, anyone that's worked with you guys, the passion that you guys bring. And I think that's what makes being on set, whether you're a client, on the crew, a partner, an agency, what makes working with JV Studios so special. So appreciate you guys sharing those stories. I think that's a wrap for us for this episode, but definitely excited to learn more and keep the conversation rolling about other things. So talk to you guys soon.